Today on Plums, I'm proud to have Frav, the founder of Kuru. Kuru is a decentralized exchange built on Monad. It offers high throughput as a CLOB based DEX, which means you get that sex like experience but with all the principles of DeFi. Fravashi, it is awesome to have you on Plums. Thank you very much for coming. The first question I wanted to ask is gonna be wild for those who don't know the deep Kuru lore out there. But I want to ask you, have you eaten a raw onion today?
Well, I think KB from our team did that feat.
Yeah,
So hats off to her for doing this live on stream
yeah.
with hundreds of people watching. But yeah, it is part of the Kuru lore now, and
But
it still
have you?
continues with the
This
meme
is
coins on
the
testnet.
the people want to know: has Fravashi been eating the raw onions, or it's something you've left just for KB?
No, it's kind of like crazy how that started, and it really became a movement across all of Monad
Yeah,
with Keone replying and
Keone did it.
everyone jumping on the bandwagon and finally
Yeah,
stream.
it is mad. And I don't even know where it came from, but yeah, I want to talk to you about KB and your community in a bit. But yeah, to bring about eating raw onions on stream as and it has become, as you say, this big thing for Monad. But let's get into it. I want to understand, through my life, I've had various trades that I've done, both in Magic Internet Moneyland and outside of Magic Internet Moneyland. But I want to understand from you, just a fun one. What's the worst trade you've ever done?
I think the worst trade I've ever done has to be this meme coin called Noob Cat. I'm not sure if most people are familiar with it. It's that account that got taken over for being too vulgar and everything.
Okay,
I made the
that's
most money there in paper gains, but I lost the most there as well in paper
yeah,
gains. So that's my
no,
worst trade.
yeah, no, and it was called Noob Cat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
NUB. Yeah, and the artist was like going wild with their videos and drawings.
Oh, you
They got taken
kid.
down by X like a couple of times. They still have an active Instagram page. Still funny, but the coin's worth nothing at this point.
Yeah, those paper gains, they hurt the worst. When you see a number on your screen and then obviously it doesn't end up happening. I once did there was like a fork on Binance Smart Chain of it's like an ohm fork. We had loads of Olympus DAO forks,
Mhm.
and there was this one on Binance Smart Chain, and I managed to get in on the pre-sale with like $1,000 or something. It might have even been $500. And I remember the paper gains. I took a screenshot like on launch and the and my from PancakeSwap, and the value of it was like $115,000. I was like, yeah, this is
Yeah.
so good. Anyway, I wrote that down. Oh man, I wrote that down to like I think I
Yeah.
still made money. Like I think I sold it at like a 4x at like 4K. But like
Mhm.
what was funny was one of my friends came in the deal with me. He managed to get, in the pre-sale, but he was out walking and I was sending him these screenshots and he's like, I need to get home to try and sell this thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, he
I
missed
think
out.
I think when you take screenshots, it's kind of the top. And when you see a lot of screenshots on the timeline, it is
Yeah.
the top.
Yeah.
I'm a first cycler, so I didn't know this.
Yeah.
And I think it's true.
Yeah, when it's screenshot season, it's sell season is probably yeah, dope advice. Well, I mean, for me,
Yeah.
worst trades. I mean, clearly I've had trades like that where it's like, oh man, I could have done far better with that. But actually, what I was thinking about it, I once did some really evil trades with my younger brother when I was a kid. I don't know how or why I had the thought, but I once traded like a 2 pence piece for a £1 coin with my little brother. Which is so evil. Like, I don't know why I thought that was reasonable. I like was like, I guess. Do you remember that guy? What was he called? Like Eisenberg, the mango exploiter guy. It's like, it's just arbitrage.
Mhm,
What are you going
mhm.
to do? Throw me in prison? But I guess as like an 8 year old, it kind of made sense to me. And I was like, yeah, I'm just making an efficient market here. And he's a willing participant. But yeah, thankfully,
Yeah.
my dad had a stern chat with me. And yeah, I didn't continue doing that. But trading, on chain trading's changed so much like during
Mhm.
my time. I remember trying to use Ether Delta. Like it, I failed. I didn't use it. Like there was it IDEX. There was a bunch back then, and it was
Mhm.
really not easy. Like not intuitive. It was super hard. Like basically, yeah, it was. I just used Bittrex and Coinbase. You had to use the SEX basically. It was super hard to do
Right.
anything on chain pre Uniswap. You mentioned you were a first cycler then. So did you not get the chance to try and use these early, on chain order books?
Right. Unfortunately, yes. So I joined right after the FTX crash. That's when I started
Perfect
getting
timing.
interested in. Yeah. So that's when I think that's probably one of the reasons why I'm attracted to cryptos, ethos, and less about the prices. Um, and that's probably a good thing. So that's how it started. So I really have only stories to rely upon for how things were back then. Um, in terms of experience itself, my experience comes from post FTX when Solana was at $8 to $20.
Yeah.
That's where most of my on-chain experience comes from. And once Solana started going to 200 is when I started getting busy with building Kuru. So yeah, that's how
Yeah,
my experience has been.
nice. Yeah, I mean the FTX stuff was wild. I mean, I remember it vividly, both the FTX collapse and Luna. Um, and FTX, it was funny. I'd taken everything out. There was clear, you could see the exit. Everyone was rushing for the doors
Mhm.
over like four or
Yeah.
5 days. And so I was like, yeah, let me check and take everything out. And I'd already taken most stuff out, but they used to have. I don't know if you remember. Some of the watchers and listeners will. They used to do like these offerings, like ICOs, IDOs on there, and you used to have to
Hmm.
create like sub accounts, and so you had to commit some FTX and some USDC. And then it was on a lottery, and you saw if you win, and then you got these
Oh.
these coins or tokens. And I'd cleared out my account, yeah, as I say, but then I did like a final check in like the last 48 hours before it died, and I still had like I think it was like $4,000 in this little
Mm.
sub account because it didn't
Sub
show
account.
up.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, that was so lucky. But if it had blown up and I hadn't seen it, obviously I wouldn't have known the loss. And but yeah, I was so grateful that I'd done that final check because 4,000's, it's a lot of money. But yeah, what a great time to come into crypto. And as you say, like seeing that happen, has given you that really solid basis to go, okay, well, things need to be better. We need FTX, but we need it on chain. We need it decentralized. We need it, with the right structures in place that ensure people can't manipulate, can't rehypothecate, can't do all the shady stuff that SBF did. I mean, SBF, he was dodgy from the beginning. I was watching him from the start, that guy. I mean, I'm a
Yeah.
vegetarian. You may well be as well, but vegans, that was the first red flag for me. And he loved the Democrats as well. Anyway, we could go on a whole rant there, but yeah, fun times. And so yeah, those I mean, Uniswap was my kind of first on-chain trading experience. And there's another funny story there, and again, it has a political edge to it. I kind of faded a lot of Ethereum for many years because there was a clear distinction between, and there is still somewhat actually, between people involved in Ethereum and involved in Bitcoin and other kind of on-chain cultures. And not that long ago, Vitalik tweeted about that he's not moving to this Bronze Age mindset kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, Ethereum's just for, soy boys with unicorns, and like I want to be a Chad, And so I never bothered with Uniswap. And Hayden was like and continues to be a big fan of the left and everything else. So I was like, no, I'm not using that. But when SushiSwap came about, I was like, man, this is dope. This is super cool. Like this farming thing, there's Ponzinomics. I'm like, yeah, let's get in on this. And so I had to use Uniswap because pre like SushiSwap went up, you had to put an LP on Uniswap and then you committed those tokens to SushiSwap. And
Yeah.
so the only reason I used Uniswap was to try and attack Uniswap at the time. And yeah, I actually ended up getting the Uniswap airdrop for that exclusive reason. The only reason I'd used Uniswap was because I didn't like them. And then they gave me all this free money. It was good times. But yeah, the AMMs, that's where you've seen this inefficiency in the AMMs. I mean, AMMs were almost a necessary evil to solve that problem. The early days of Ethereum had seen with essentially these kind of quasi on-chain order books struggling because of block times, because of this, that, and the other, right? But yeah, I mean, AMMs still dominate to this day, right? And you're taking that on with Kuru. So yeah, tell me, when did you first notice AMMs and see the inefficiency and think, yeah, let's do something about this?
Yeah, right. Um, I think we have to give credit to AMMs for making it this far, because AMMs really did solve a very unique problem that didn't exist before. It was hard to coordinate a market across the globe on a blockchain with a model like the order book at the stage when blockchains were still in their
Yeah,
infancy, where Ethereum just had emerged, and that was like the only supercomputer, I mean, the only world computer existing at that time. So AMMs really did solve a very unique problem where you needed someone to be the counterparty for your trades, right? Like if you want to go buy, someone has to be willing to sell at the exact same time for the exact same price and the quantity. And AMMs kind of solve this really elegantly, I would say, because of two things, right? It was available 24/7. Didn't require KYC regulations, none of that mattered. And the second thing was anyone could participate in this market. Uh, a kid from a kid from India could probably deposit LP tokens onto Uniswap and now participate in the process of trading without having to know how markets work or how all this works. So it's a really elegant solution that the AMMs came up with. And since then, AMMs have come a long way in the different models, right? Mostly Uniswap pioneered the CLMM or the newer one hooks. But most of these models are trying to make AMMs efficient at what they do. So AMMs are really good models, but they're not efficient. So that's why V3 came along. And they were like, okay, let's try to make it more efficient. It's really inefficient to do what we currently do. And order books really are just what AMMs are trying to get to, because order books really work in the off-chain world where traditional finance runs on order books. Because humans have been figuring out markets for a while now, and they realized that order books look like the best way to organize a market. And AMMs were really solving this gap in the market till now, and they still do
yeah,
play a vital role in that. And eventually, the aim of all AMMs, I would say, would be to converge towards what looks like an order book, if not a complete order book. With Meteora's DLMM, for example, trying to get people to deposit liquidity within certain constrained
yeah,
ranges. So what Kuru is trying to build is basically that version, but because of Monad's throughput and speed, we can actually build a full-fledged order book instead of having to worry about better AMM designs. And that's also kind of how Kuru started. We didn't start off by, hey, like AMMs are bad. It started off like order books are better. And why can't we build an order book on Ethereum? Turns out Ethereum is too slow and too expensive. So we thought, okay, how about the L2s? L2s seem pretty fast and cheap. So let's try building that. Turns out it's not fast enough and not cheap enough. And that's how the search led to Monad eventually. Yeah, that's how we started building Kuru. It was never really, hey, AMMs are bad, they're
yeah.
really inefficient, we need order books. It was more like, order books are amazing. Where do we build them? Turns out we can't build them anywhere here. So let's go to a place where we can build them.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's, entirely logical way of going through. And as you say, AMMs, they were a solution to a very genuine problem that still exists on many chains. And order book dexes, can't happen on a lot of chains even now. So like
Yeah.
it's essentially specific to Monad, maybe one or two other chains where it's potentially possible, but it's almost this fantastic marriage of Monad makes it possible to have the most efficient trading platform possible.
Right.
With Kuru. So that's good to hear. Yeah, because AMMs don't exist outside of this. You don't see a market stall where it's like, okay, if you throw in some oranges into this pile of oranges and apples, you can take some apples out in proportion of the thing. Like it doesn't happen like that, right? You have a
Right. Yeah.
price and you make it
Right.
work. So, and
The other neat solution that AMMs provide is long tail assets, right? These assets don't really have enough reason to be providing liquidity for. So we won't have a market maker be quoting, let's say, the 20th meme coin derivative.
yeah,
But an AMM allows that to be traded. It doesn't discriminate on what a good quality asset is and allows anyone to trade any of these long tail assets.
yeah,
Something an order book can't do.
yeah,
But with Kuru, we kind of merge the two together. So it's possible on Kuru. But that's what AMMs do better than order books. In some cases that they shine through.
yeah. No, that's very good point indeed. And market making is something I want to get into in a bit to understand a bit more from you about how that works and whether there's trade-offs there, as you say, between the AMM and the CLOB model. But I want to, let's get on to community. Obviously, Monad's got this fantastic community. Kuru's done exceptionally well with, community building, a kind of native Kuru community. And one of those was, or part of that was this kind of big moment in Kuru's history where you hired KB, right? So you found this I hope she doesn't mind me calling her a young lady. You found this young lady, you're like, yeah, let's go. And you gave her what it appears from the outside to be a wide kind of remit. You just go, cool, go for it. And she just went wild and kicked off. And one thing I want to hear your views on how well that's gone, where you see it moving forward. But one of the elements that I think is super important, the thing that you've done so well, is KB's not just having fun with people. She is having lots of fun, but she's not just that. There's industry and product specific community building, like the trench. It's almost trenches as a service that she built. On the
Yeah.
Discord.
Yeah.
It's so good to see. So yeah, tell me about your views on how the community's developed over time. Obviously, this isn't KB's appraisal, but yeah, tell me about how that's gone and your thoughts.
Yeah. I think firstly, like a huge shout out to KB for doing the amazing work that she's been doing with us. Um, the story of how KB got onboarded was essentially like we were thinking Kuru has to dominate Monad. And Monad had already built this community around its pre-product account, right? And we were really surprised of how Monad had built something like this with being so further away from product. And we thought that if anyone would thrive in this environment, it had to be someone who understood this environment. It couldn't be picked from another ecosystem and then try to like make them adapt here. So KB was in fact a very good hire for us. So essentially, it was a decision that we made alongside with the Monad team, and it worked out really well for us because KB really understood how the Monad community works and what the best things to do to get them excited, interested in Kuru was. So what KP did was really interesting. She took a few of the Monad strategies that worked in the past and tried to Kurufy them in a way.
Yeah.
So one example of that would be the trenches channel, where Monad has this concept of locked TGs, right? And locked discords, like a very infamous spirit. And we knew that no one wanted to get into a Kuru discord or TG. So what KB did was she created this trenches channel where people could now post calls that on whatever was happening on Solana base at the time. And it kind of became like this place like, hey, there's alpha if you be there. So like you have to be there. If you're not there, you're missing out. And they used to get on live streams and trench live and everything. And she ended up building this set of OG trenchers that now are kind of people who learned how to trench with us for the first time, and also people who were previous trenchers that now started getting involved in the Kuru community. Eventually, post product, these will be the main uh, torch bearers of how Kuru works, and them using Kuru and them being power users of Kuru. So I think KB did a phenomenal job with that. Yeah, there's like a few other things we did regarding the mascot, for example. We open sourced that to the community. We did not shove something that we took and be like, hey, this is your mascot.
Yeah.
We asked the community to come up with something. So that's kind of like how we have approached community building so far.
Yeah, it's been super good to see. I mean, that trenches thing was, a top tier move, and as you say, it created this kind of FOMO of the best minds, and it's proactive people in, product specific thing, trading, right? Finding the best coins and trading them, it created user generated content as well, because people were like, this is my call, and then they track it, they post it, they tag people, and other people would be like, I want to be in this. There's something there. Yes, that's
The other thing was also education, because a lot of Monad community was new to on-chain stuff.
Yeah.
And KB realized this early on. So she was like, we have to educate these people on what trading on-chain means, what trenching means.
Yeah.
And the trenches was like a good way of doing that, getting new people on board.
Yeah, sick. Now, it's now time for our to hear from our sponsors. So, let me pass over to our sponsors of today.
Kuru. People are talking about it, but what is Kuru? I'll tell you what it's not. It's not an incurable and fatal neurodegenerative disorder that was formerly common among the poor people of Papua New Guinea. It's also not Koro.
Koro is a culture-bound syndrome and is also known as genital retraction syndrome. The person who suffers from Koro is afraid that his penis will retract into his abdomen and completely disappear.
Kuru is the first fully on-chain order book DEX on Monad. And I, for one, am very excited.
That's so good. Oh, Ray J just kills me every single time. It's such a good video. It's horrendous and fantastic at the same time. What made me both proud and horrified of it, when we had our first call, I'm like, we're the Monad community, we'll create videos, we'll do the meme as a service thing. And then obviously Ray J drops that and I'm like, oh no. What's
I remember
Frav
this,
gonna think? Oh man, so good. So, Frav, we're gonna play a game now, you and I. Actually, just you. Which disease, and this was Ray J's idea, shout out to Ray J. Ray J wants to know, which disease would you prefer? Would you prefer Kuru, this rare, incurable, and fatal neurodegenerative disease from the poor people of Papua New Guinea? Or would you prefer Koro, which is this culture-bound, delusional disorder where individuals believe that their penis is retracting inside? I'm gonna lose it, Frav. Which one are you?
Is there an option that says neither?
No. No, you and I have got to choose one.
I think I would still choose the neurodegenerative disease because they got the spelling right at least.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. So you're going with the incurable disorder with the brain. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, but the spelling is right. That's exactly Kuru.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I'm gonna have to go for Koro, the one where I think my penis is shrinking.
Into your stomach.
And only because, well, there's two reasons. One, I don't want to die. The second one is that would be really funny because it's not true. That's the funniest thing about the disorder is it's not happening. So you'd be constantly talking to people and going, I think my willy is shrinking, and they go, well, oh no, that's really bad. And then they'd look and it's like it's not shrinking.
Non shaking.
It's so bad. But that does lead us on to like where did the name come from? Like where did? Because clearly, I assume it wasn't inspired by this neurodegenerate disease. Yeah, where did it Kuru come from? The name.
Yeah. We hadn't really Googled this before.
You left
John.
that to Ray J to do. Yeah, just
And our Discord was filled with this particular brain disease definition on the first day. But yeah, I think Kuru came from. So the idea was this: we wanted something that had some Indian connotation because we both are from India, the team is from India, but also simple and easily rememberable and pronounceable with as little characters as possible. That was the intention. So there's this dynasty called the Kuru dynasty in India, and that's where the word Kuru comes from. And we just stuck with that, and we thought, okay, anyone can pronounce it. The spelling is easy to remember, but it still carries this Indian roots.
yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much how we ended with the name. But we should have Googled it probably a couple of times before going with it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but it's super interesting to hear you talk about that because the best brands in the world, that is how they approach things. You know, it's a unique word that's easy to pronounce, short, you know, all those things are spot on, but has some meaning that's important to you as well. So you kind of tick all the boxes there. And then similarly, how did Fravashi come about? How did that name get generated? How tell me about that.
Right. So I've been gaming for a while now, various types of games, and I've been part of online communities all this while. And Fravashi is really my gaming name, and I have been on Discord since 2016. Of course, not for crypto, but like gaming purposes. And Fravashi really means soul in Zoroastrianism. And not that I follow that religion, but it's just something that sounded like a cool name when I was a kid. I was probably in like sixth, seventh grade when I chose that name. I just stuck on with it. That became my pseudonym for my online identity.
Yeah, that's funny because I meet so many people that their name in crypto is from their gaming name prior. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, Flasher was the same thing, you know, and it's who's one of our top members. Yes, it's funny how that follows along. Did you have any other like nicknames at school? Did your friends call you Fravashi, or was it just online that it was Fravashi?
No, just online. Not even my parents know about it. I think they still don't know about it. My brother knows about it because he was gaming with me, but that's about it. No one else knew about it.
Yeah,
That's how it stuck on. And I think there's a lot of overlap between gaming online identities and how crypto views pseudonymity. And I think that's how the transition happens for most
Yeah,
online identities.
I think so too. I had a funny moment. I had a friend, like I gamed a lot. You know, between 14 and 17, there was a lot of, you know, gaming a lot of time, an unhealthy amount. But I remember I was playing EVE Online for a long time, and one of my friends played it as well. And we went to college, which is different to American college. It's where you go when you're 17 to 18 in the UK. And I remember calling him his like gamer name in
Gaming.
public, and he was horrified. He was like, "No, I'm not Spinal. I am Matt. Don't call me Spinal, especially in front of women." But gaming wise, I had a few names, gaming wise. Like, it's a whole nother story, we don't have time to talk about it today, but I was a politician for a long time, and my first name is Benjamin, and so yeah, for gaming in my later years, Councillor Jammin. I was Councillor Jammin, I thought it was fun. And then, Yeah, yeah, and I think that was, I was jamming on Eve Online. The character will still be there, but yeah, at school, um, at one of my schools, they call me Cherry, which I guess because I'm red, and berry. So, but cherries aren't berries. But yeah, anyway, it rhymes and works. One of the school teachers there used to call me Red, which also probably wouldn't be allowed now. But yeah, I used to get called Red. But Berry came about because obviously it's my surname, and I was on Discord, and my username used to be like it was generated, so it was like B Berry and then a load of numbers, and I just kept it like that for
Mm-hmm.
ages because I rarely used it and stuff. But people just started shortening it just to Berry, and so I was like, cool, I'll just live with Berry because like going
Yeah.
by his second name is super popular, especially in private schools in the UK. So like a bunch of my friends, I only talk to them as their surname. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it wasn't a big deal for me. But one thing I wanted to ask you, going back to those early days of Kuru and our relationship, there's people in the Monad team. I'm not going to name them that really believe in you and Kuru, right? From way back, like this is a year ago now, right? And they were like, this is huge, this is big. What do you think gave them that kind of belief so early on that you were doing something seriously cool?
Yeah, I think this is a good one. So maybe I can also answer it with like a bit of backstory on how Kuru began as a whole. So we at that time were still taking part in hackathons. This was early 2023 or mid 2023, and we were exploring different DeFi ideas. We'd spoken to a bunch of accelerators with these ideas, and we were close to getting selected for one as well. But one of these hackathons, we built an order book on a roll up for our own custom roll up because the L2s couldn't support it. And we were looking for validation on this idea, this order book design that we had, because neither of us come from a quant background or like trading background. So we were like, hey, like we had this cool idea. Are we way off? Is it completely garbage, or is there some merit to this? Was the thing we were trying to answer. We did DM a lot of people on Twitter, and I was joining communities and like figuring out. And everyone at that time was talking about making AMMs better, making them more efficient, because most people had just written down the idea of order books aren't possible. Ether Delta tried it, not going to work out. Just stop it. At that time, I got in touch with the Monad team sometime September, October of 2023, and we've been in touch with them since then. On why Monad team was more bullish on us than probably other teams that reached out. I don't know if other teams reached out, by the way. Was because we never reached out saying, hey, like we'll build this on you, give us a grant. And it was never about the money for us. We just wanted to validate this idea. We were like, if these guys are the only other people talking about order books on the EVM, so maybe they know how, they have some thoughts on this. So that's how the conversation started. We started speaking to them about the order books. We started getting on calls with Keone, and he was talking to us about our order book design versus the other options there were. And eventually, this relationship became better and better and better. And it got to a point where they were like, hey, I think you guys should fundraise and build this like a full time thing on Monad. And that's how the whole journey started. That's when we met and the fundraising happened and everything. But yeah, to answer your question more briefly, I would say we didn't come from a mindset of where's the money, show us the money and we'll build on your chain. And that's really something that Monad was optimizing for. They didn't want these builders who were just coming in for the grants and then leaving later. They really wanted people that will stick with them through thick and thin. And that's probably, I think, what they saw in us. But again, this is completely my hunch on what made them believe in us. But yeah, it's been a great sense of support and validation for us because people like Keone trust in us and believe in us to execute on building the native DEX in Monad, which is kind of, I think, a huge responsibility on our shoulders as well.
Yeah, it is, as you say, a big responsibility. But from everything we can see, you've got it. This is something that you're able to execute on and bring forward. It's really exciting to see, your continued work. And we're run out of time now. There's a whole bunch of stuff I would love to ask you about, but I guess the final question is, where do you see Kuru in 5 years' time? Where's Kuru going to be in 5 years' time?
Right. Crypto moves really fast. for me to give a right answer to this question. For example, Pump.Fun wasn't even 5 years ago. It just happened like 1.5 years ago. So I think what we aim to be is we want to grow at the speed of Monad. So how fast Monad grows, we want to be there capturing that Monad market share. But also beyond that, 5 years from now, I would envision Kuru being used by hundreds of thousands, if not millions of users daily to manage their crypto assets or digital assets, if I may call it. And this could include a plethora of options and not just limited to the current crypto assets that we have today. We are talking probably RWAs, different forms, global trading accounts. Maybe saving on-chain becomes the norm and no one wants to keep their money in a savings account anymore. But yeah, there's no clear direction where Kuru's headed, but for now the focus is to solve on-chain trading once and for all, where we want to enable like a global marketplace and remove the need for something like a Binance to exist, because this is better in every aspect. So not yet, infrastructure is still better on Binance, but yeah, the aim is to eventually get there.
Yeah, nice. Solving on-chain trading once and for all. That's it.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, Frav, it's my honor to have you on Plums and be involved with you guys. You do a fantastic job. And yeah, thank you very much for coming on the podcast today.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. This was really fun. And thank you for showing that Ray J video again. It's been a while since I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
The information and discussion provided here is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Berry is not licensed to provide investment advice and does not offer such. Berry typically holds positions in the project and protocols he discusses and discloses that to you here. Opinions expressed by guests are theirs alone and do not necessarily reflect the views of Berry, Plums, or their affiliates. As with all things, and especially financial matters, please do your own research and consult with professionals where relevant.